Hello there, world of tankers. I'm Blitz, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the WZ-111 5A. Now, this is my all-time favorite tank in the entire game, and I absolutely love everything about the vehicle. However, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about an unbiased opinion on the tank, the armor profile, the statistics, and everything else you need to know before sticking this tank in your garage if you do want to pick it up. So if you do find yourself learning anything new about this tank and you like this video, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you're not subscribed to the channel. It really does help out the channel, and we keep growing every single day in so many more subscribers, so many more viewers. So thank you guys for all the support, but if you do like the video, click that subscribe button down below. Now, I'm not going to be doing this like my normal statistical armor profile videos, because in those videos, I spend about 10 minutes just talking about the statistics, just talking about the armor profile, and you don't really get to hear my personal opinion that much on the vehicle or how I play it. And since I've already made a video like that on the vehicle a couple months back, and then a video talking about why it's my favorite heavy tank, I'll link both of those videos in the description down below. In today's video, I'm going to be doing live gameplay on the tank after I've told you a little bit about the gun, and I'm going to be showing you how I play it. I'm going to be telling you what I'm doing while I'm playing it, so that way if you pick up this tank, I'll be telling you my personal opinion of whether you should pick it up or not in the end of the video, because it is, I think, 20,000 gold without the camo and 22,500 with it. But at the end of the video, I'll be telling you my personal opinion on whether you should be picking this up and what type of people will be doing better in it. So looking at the statistics of the tank really quickly, it has a decent damage per minute of 2,601. Now, I'm going to put calibrated on it in just a minute, which brings it down to like 2,450. But right now, this is what it looks like if you're running gun rammer. It carries a decent amount of standard pen, actually very high at 260. However, you look at that heat pen, and yeah, that's pretty bad. And you compare that to like an IS-4, it is definitely really, really bad. However, because this does carry a 130mm gun, if you were to compare it to the closest tank, the IS-7, it definitely has a much greater buff over the penetration on the premium rounds than, let's say, an IS-7 does. Now, the average damage is 460 for a 130mm, and the really, really nice thing about this tank that I love is the gun depression at 7 degrees. That's more than pretty much all the Russian heavies at tier 10, and what that means is you can really work the ridge lines well, to where in an IS-7 you really just can't. It's a struggle. Now, dispersion, yeah, it's not great, 0.353. It's a little bit better than the IS-7. Same for the aiming time, and dispersion movements on the move are also really, really nice on this tank, which is actually what makes it really, really good, in my opinion, compared to the IS-7. So, of course, when you're putting on calibrated, it's going to raise your heat penetration by 30. That is a really, really needed thing. That's going to make you have the advantage of penetrating tanks like a mouse in the turret, E100 in the turret. So, definitely run calibrated on this tank. And most tanks that shoot heat, like an IS-4 gets 374mm of heat pen when you're running calibrated compared to like 330. So, calibrated on heat shooting tanks is extremely important. On my IS-7, I don't think I run it, just because the IS-7 has such crappy APCR pen as it is. So here we go, we are getting right into battle. Now, talking about mobility, this is like the WZ-113 but 5 times better because it can actually turn. It's a little bit slower on acceleration, but it still gets to that 50 km/h top speed. And unlike the IS-7 where it never really reaches 50, this tank actually does reach 50, not in this type of terrain here because of course I'm going all around bumps and stuff like that, running over obstacles, but in a normal flat ground, you can very easily get right up to 50 km/h, getting just straight up there. So that's something that's very nice. You can see we're already up to 40 km/h right now. And I'm going to be pushing my tank right into a very, very heavily armored, aggressive position, where I think this tank will greatly excel. Let's see if we can just slam a shell. There we go. Right into his tank, and we're going to push right into position. So you can see the gun is pretty accurate, which is something that I love about it. So here we go. This is the position that this tank is meant to play in. There we go. Nice tap. That was a very, very low roll. But you can see even that 57, I'm pretty sure, is just looking at my tank thinking, oh god, I can't even pen him, looking away. So here we go. We're just going to keep holding here. This is stopping. Oof. Somebody tried to shoot us from the butt. So hopefully my team will stop that from happening. But right now, I'm pretty sure I can just hold here as long as that WZ doesn't keep shooting at me. It looks like he is, which is very unfortunate for me. But there we go. We got that ST. We tapped another max roll shell into his tank. You can see we've already blocked 1,100 damage. I can just keep holding here because I'm pretty sure that they really cannot penetrate the turret. There you go, another 640 bounce, another 500 bounce. That was a high explosive round. So you can see just how strong this tank is in a hull down position. It's what makes and breaks this tank, because when you're not in a hull down position, it really does fall apart. You can see there, He hit me right in the upper plate. It's as soon as you get out of that hull down position, the tank is very easy to penetrate. And that's the big weakness on it. So there we go. Nice tap into the roof of that 57 Heavy. Now, hopefully this IS-7 and I are going to be able to hold that VK. I don't think he has enough gun depression to shoot me yet. There we go. Come on, we need to be able to tap him in the lower plate. There we go. So VK is getting torn apart. The IS-7's still holding here. We're already at 3,700 damage. We're just racking it up. And you can see, even though the tank doesn't have DPM, you don't need DPM in every scenario to get out the damage. All you need is a nice gun, you need a big alpha. I personally think that alpha is way more important than having damage per minute, because obviously, you can tell in this game, we didn't need the damage per minute to get out a very hefty chunk of damage. And we still got quite a bit left. This E4 is still on 1,390 hit points. We got the STB in the back of the map, who hopefully, there we go, another nice slam right into the rear of that STB, and now all we have left is the T110 E4. So I'm just going to be rushing right to the side of the guy. I really don't care if he shoots me. So let's see if we can get an HE right into the butt. There we go, 689 max roll once again in this tank. And there we go, 5,440 damage in the first game played in this tank today. Didn't get a mastery because a lot of people actually play it, but you can see when you're using that 7 degrees of gun depression, this tank is pretty much impossible to penetrate. And that's why I love the 111-5A. It's just such a hard tank to get through. You saw, though, that the E4 did penetrate right through my upper plate. And that's because, unlike the WZ-113, this tank does not carry a super well-angled. It's decently well-angled, but you look at that 113, that's a much steeper slope than this. So if you're looking at where like the little dragon goes through, that's actually the weakest part on the tank, right through that little loop. That's about 240 millimeters thick. And of course, if you're angling it towards your opponents, because it is a little bit angled plate, it's actually going to make it weaker. So to play this tank, do not angle it at all. The tough parts on it are actually like the lower part where you see that armor shagging up right below the lights. That's actually about 280 millimeters thick, and as well on the edges above the tracks. So it's very troll to penetrate this tank. There's a couple spots that are easy to pen. However, if you're shooting heat at it, you're probably going to pen every single time. Looking at the lower plate, there's good news for it. It's actually about 220 millimeters effective, which means that if you do angle it, if you are side scraping it in a correct position, or you want to pull out your hull and angle it at a really steep angle, that means that you can actually bounce quite a fair amount of shells. And fun fact, the Sheridan, if you're running just gun rammer on it, has 220 millimeters of standard APCR pen, which means that if you just angle it the slightest of bits on that lower plate, you're actually going to bounce Sheridans right in the upper and lower hull. Now, of course, missiles aren't going to bounce on it, but just saying in general, the armor is actually very solid on this tank if you can play it in the correct positions. Now, talking about the turret, this is what honestly makes it my favorite tank in the game. It's not the mobility, it's not the gun. Oh, I do like the camo on it, but it is the turret armor matched with that 7 degrees of gun depression, because an IS-7, while it does have an extremely strong turret, many of you people do know that if you load heat, you can easily go right through the turret cheeks if you can get an accurate enough shot up close. That is not how it works for the 111-5A. That was a lucky ricochet right on the top. But the 111-5A, you do not have to worry about that turret armor at all. Sorry, my voice cut out there, but honestly, the turret on this tank it's nearly impossible to penetrate. It's about 450 millimeters thick around the gun mantlet. Even the cheeks are about 400 millimeters. Now, I have no clue what the enemy team's doing in this match because, yeah, I haven't really ran into anybody, but I know that Sheridan was on the other side of the map. And, of course, I don't want to be hit by a Sheridan because it's a Sheridan. So, I got to be a little bit more careful here. So, let's actually push up pretty aggressive before that IS-4 gets behind us. Maybe tap a shell into the FD4005. Let's load the high explosive because, well, I guess it doesn't matter now. But let's just tap a shell right into that FD4005. That 54 E1 is going to be bailing it, looks like. And there you go. Another shell in the side of our tank bounced by the Sheridan. Because this thing does have nice spaced armor on the side of it, it's very tough to penetrate it from missiles, from tanks like that. But again, you can see right through that upper plate and the lower plate, it's very weak on the armor profile. It's something that you can easily take advantage of if you do have the sighting of this tank. So if you're going up against it and it's in a hull down position, what that means is if I'm using my turret armor like this here and I'm not peeking my hull, do not engage this tank because it's nearly impossible to actually take it out if it is in a position like that. There we go, nice tap, another 575 right into the side of that guy there. But if I'm using my my hull down abilities, you will pretty much never penetrate this tank. It's what makes it so strong. Ah, we just didn't get the shell into that guy. But there's the 111 1/4. I don't think he's going to pull out. We've got the Yag pulling out now. Alright, let's tap a heat shell. Now let's see if I can just show the turret armor in action here. Let's see if he'll bounce right off it. Now if he hits the cupola, it will pen. That was not the Yag. I thought that was the Yag. Okay, so he might have hit the cupola. Let's see where he hit actually. Yeah, there's the cupola. So you can see hitting the cupola is something that's very, very easy to do in this tank if you're sitting still. So one bit of advice I would say to do is definitely don't sit still in this tank if you've got a big gun aiming at you, because of course you don't want to be hit in the cupola. It's a big weak spot. Again, that upper plate is also a very big weak spot, as you can see. So just talking about weak spots, you don't want people to be able to hit them because of course they are weak spots on the tank. This Yag here, I don't want to be hit by him. So I'm just going to pull out. Let's see if we can snap the shell into him. There you go. Teammates finished him off, so that was a pretty solid game in general. I'm still happy with our 3,000 damage. We were able to just break out in this game here. Now that Sheridan's going to be running away, it looks like he's probably going to be coming out right over here. So let's see if we can maybe get a tap into him as he's running. Ooh, ooh. Nah, oh, I did tap him right in the top of the turret. That was a very lucky shell. So all that's left is this IS-4, and it looks like that this 140 is just ripping the guy apart because this guy has no clue what he's doing. Sorry, 140, I didn't even walk your shell there. But there we go. Very nice game overall. We just did 3,867 damage, so this was a better example of the armor profile. If you sit still, the turret is very weak. If you're using your gun depression, it's nearly impossible to penetrate. But as you saw, we got tapped right in the cupola of the tank. That's a very, very tall cupola. So best advice is sort of wiggle your turret. That's what I should have done there. But I sort of sat out in the open, and I wanted to show that the turret armor was strong, which it is. If you're looking at the turret armor on this tank, you will never penetrate through where the gun mantlet is. Next to it, the cheeks, you'll never penetrate that. So always go for the cupola if you do have a shot on it. However, if this tank, as I said, is in a hull down position, just don't fight it, because you're probably not going to win. That Yag penned one shell on us, and I would have just stayed aggressive there. I wouldn't have worried about it, because I honestly am so confident in this tank's turret armor that I would have just sat there again, because I honestly was very surprised that a Yag was accurately able to hit me in the cupola of the tank, square in the middle of it. So that was sort of a good playstyle of how the tank is. You can see both games there, we were very easily to get out damage. So a lot of people always complain about the DPM sucking on this tank. Oh, it ruins the vehicle. You don't need damage per minute to get out damage. Those two games we literally just played, 3,867 damage, and the other one was, I'm not sure why I'm in chat right now, but the other one was, okay, the other one was 5,400 damage. So both of those games were very easy to show. These were just very two simple games I pulled out in the tank to show the armor profile, how it plays. So my advice on if you want to get this tank, if you're a newer player, I definitely don't think that this is your playstyle, because you have to know gun depression positions. It's a very tricky tank to play, because if you don't maximize your damage per minute, you don't penetrate your shells, you're very, very easily going to fall apart. As you saw there, I was able to penetrate the superstructure of the Jagdpanzer E100. I would not have been able to do that without calibrated on. So make sure you run calibrated. But you know what? For 20,000 gold, that's honestly not an awful price tag, because you look at gold, and it's about $60 to get the tank, which isn't awful for the tank. So if you wanted to pick this tank up, if you've been waiting for the next tier 10 vehicle, I'd say it's about a 50-50. I'm not going to say go out there and buy it, because that is an expensive amount of gold. However, it is, believe it or not, the highest credit earning tier 10 in the game. Even though it's a collector, how many credits did we earn in that 5,500 match? 119,000. In the other match, we earned 75,000. So it earns crazy credits. So if you want a tier 10 vehicle to earn credits, you're going to like it. I love the camouflage on it. This is definitely a good tank to buy. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. As always, if you did, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Really helps out the channel. We almost hit 15.4 thousand already. So thank you guys all for the support. But other than that, guys, I hope you're all doing well out there. Stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next one.